Your house is worth whatever it's worth, right? Whoever sells it. Wrong. I'm Charlie. Welcome to Moving Home with Charlie, and thank you for coming.
Charlie Landing grew up in Sussex, is the founder of Best Agent and presenter of Moving Home with Charlie.
If you want to find one of these guys, look out for those compassionate professionals. All estate agents are not the same.
So Charlie, what would be your advice for people interested in buying new builds right now?
Don't overpay. Do buy, but don't overpay. That's why I say disregard the guff. Read into the numbers and look, and it's buried. The bad news is buried in the small print, okay?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Property Press Awards.
They may or may not be telling the truth, but you should form your own view. Get out and view, get out and view, get out and view. You cannot be in a position to make offers and have the offers accepted if you're not viewing. Just be out there viewing. Pay attention to the back of the class. If you've not been watching my videos, I did one just a couple of days ago. Disregard the guff, guys. Evening, guys. I think it's only so far. I'm worried that I sent the link out too late. There's a real complication with scheduling these private live streams and stopping it being public, which I'm still getting my head around. But Joe and Crypto Bizzle, it's only you two at the moment, I think. Only two people showing up. So is anyone else watching? Anyone else watching saying hi in the comments? If not, guys, oh, come on, Joe. Why don't you click the link and join me in the video and tell me about your offer? Nikhil, hi there. Glad you've made it. Hi, Lisa. Now, how come there are 4 of you? Oh, 7. Here we are. Everyone's joining in now. Cool. Darren, hi there, guys. So I have nothing to start off telling you guys tonight other than I'm here for your questions. So Bizzle, okay, Bizzle. Hi, Jane, Gemma, Darren, Lisa, Nikhil, Joe. Cool. Glad you're all here. Nikhil, you got a question for me? Okay. Welcome. Hi. Can you hear me? I can see you. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? I was on mute.
Yeah, you're live. You're live on the Moving Home with Charlie private live stream. How are you doing?
Excellent. I'm well, thank you. Thank you so much for all of your content. It's been mega helpful.
You're very welcome.
A question I had was, how do I parse some of the information or advice you give for the London market, asking as a first-time buyer? So that was kind of one of my, because I never know if a tweet or some information you share can be applied to London directly, because London's a bit of a beast by itself.
Yes, it is. So, sorry, Are you in London? Are you going to be a buyer in London or elsewhere?
That's right. Yeah, I'm in London, looking in London. I've been looking for the last year or so.
There are only 2 differences about London, really, compared to the rest of the country, which is much more expensive, okay, and a lot more agents and properties. But all the principles I discuss otherwise are pretty much the same. I mean, I have clients, I've had clients, estate agency clients all over the country, London and the rest of the country, and the process is the same. The process is the same. I mean, there's really no different. I mean, the market dynamics can be different, and some agents in London are a bit more proactive, and compared to maybe some sleepy country agents in the sticks. But I don't see, I mean, perhaps in terms of my market predictions, I mean, I never go London specifically or anywhere else. I just avoid regional predictions. But if anything, it's almost as though my any suggestions or recommendations I'm making apply even more in London than they do anywhere else. Getting out and viewing, because London's busy. I mean, there's more competition in London, whatever the house prices are doing. And I know that if you're a busy agent in London, the buyers that you think about are the ones that you see the most. So I know that a lot of first-time buyers think, well, I'm a buyer, so the agent should call me. The reality is that in London especially, most agents have 250 buyers on each individual agent's book, and they don't remember you. So, if you're front of their mind, you're more likely for them to go, oh, I know who's going to like this property, this person. And honestly, if people trust me about getting out and viewing, the benefits of doing that will be multiple. Not only will you learn more about the market and actually see what's happened at the coalface, you'll be remembered by the agents. You're more likely to be called and be in the right place at the right time. It's a good investment of time to be out there viewing.
I had another kind of, I guess, a question about getting out and viewing. And I really like what you said about on the live stream just now about being clear with your intentions.
Yes.
About letting them know that you are looking for a property at the right price and not. So, because I don't think I've been doing that. And it feels like because I've been viewing a few places with the same agent, they might be thinking, what's this person doing, viewing so many properties?
I mean, I think, no, they won't be thinking that. They understand that some people need to look at a lot of properties. What I would, just to clarify that piece of advice is, it's perfectly legitimate for people to keep your privacy about things that you think might affect the negotiation when it comes to it. But at the same time, try to be as transparent as you can about your intentions. Because the more an agent knows about you, the more they understand about what your plans are, the more they can help you, the more the good ones can help you. It's not going to help you with the bad agents. The bad agents are just bad agents, and there's very little you can do about them. But in the same way that movers would like and expect agents to be honest with them, movers want agents to be honest. There is, I've worked with so many agents, and one of the biggest frustrations is how many buyers aren't honest with the agent, and in doing so make their job harder. So just transparency, and eventually the agent's going to go, oh, it's so refreshing to deal with this buyer that's just transparent and honest. And if you're transparent and honest with your intentions, but also prefer to keep certain things private, they'll respect that. Now, do I have any other questions? Because I want to make sure everyone gets a chance here. Are you still there, Nikhil? Your camera's just gone.
I am, sorry. Yeah, I am.
That's okay. No, don't worry. Don't feel you have to go. I mean, do you have any more questions? If you have,
I might do in a minute.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, I'll just leave you there in the green room and just wave at me if you want to come back, or put your question in the comments. Right. Let's get Darren in here. Now, Darren, are you going to join? Come on. Why don't you just come and let us hear your voice at least? Could you maybe set up a regional Discord page so users can compare notes and prices, agents, trends, etc.? Yeah, I think to do that's a good idea. It's quite a lot of work to do that. Discord is something I've not been getting into myself at all. I wish I did. I just haven't got the time to do it. If you think that if that would be useful, if you think there'd be a lot of demand for that, I could potentially do that. But I think the more I do that, the more it's going to go, oh, can we have one for this county? Oh, actually this city. Oh, actually this suburb. Oh, actually this postcode. I'm worried that may be a process that never ends. But it's a good thought. Byron Wong. We found 2 properties we like from different agents. Should we put offers for both? Okay, that's a really good question, and this is quite a common situation, and there's definitely something that you should do here, which is being transparent can work to your advantage to find out which property you're going to have a better chance of buying. And that is to do this. If you like, I'm going to assume from your question that by all means, Byron, elaborate if it's going to help me. Say to both agents, you've got a property I like, and there's another property on with that agent, and tell them which one it is, right? Just be transparent. So there's this property of yours that I like, and then the other agent's got a property which is that one. That agent's got that property. I like them both equally. I'm going to buy one of these properties. I want to buy one of these properties. Before I decide which one I want to bid on, could you please tell me a little bit about the seller's situation, how realistic they're going to be on price? Because what I don't want to do is to get into time-wasting negotiations with one and then miss out on the other one. And you want both agents to go to their sellers and say, we've got a serious buyer who's ready to proceed. I'm assuming you've got your mortgage and principal, your funding is secured. So he's ready to go straight away. He likes your property and another one. So I need to know what your best price is as a seller, so that I can get the best offer, because he's only going to offer on one of these properties. So what you're doing is you're declaring your intention to buy one of those properties. And that's the way to do it. Say, I'm going to buy either this one or that one. It just depends on who gives me the best price. So could you talk to your seller and find out, please, before I bid, I want to know what their flexibility on price is. Okay. Now, as long as they believe you that you really are going to buy one of the properties, they will call the seller up and say, I've got a buyer. They want to buy your property. They're also interested in this other property, and I believe them. They're asking the sellers of both properties the same question, and whichever one they get the best answer from is the one that they're going to go with. So that's how I do it. And do you see what I'm saying there? You're being honest, you're being transparent, you're declaring your intention, and you're not playing tricks with them. And it's always good to have two to play off against each other, because you will very quickly find out how keen they are. Okay. Is that a helpful answer, Byron? I hope it is. Come on, is no one else going to come and join me on screen? I wish you would. It'd be fun. Ian Berryman, how has increased building costs affected value of renovated properties, e.g. proves a lot of... No. Our properties with existing lots now worth 40k more. So it's a really important fact to this. The cost of a renovation does not put that price. That's if you spend 80k renovating something, it doesn't necessarily put 80k on to the value. It might put 100k onto the value. It might only put 25k onto the value, because renovation is a very subjective thing. And if your renovation is effectively just a cosmetic one, you make the property more desirable, and as such, it might get more bidders competing and therefore fetch a slightly higher price. It doesn't necessarily add to the value. And one of the things that a lot of sellers get wrong is that because they've spent X, that now has that X amount is now on top of the value, and it isn't. So it depends how the increased costs is irrelevant. It's a red herring in terms of the value of the property. For a seller to say, well, it cost me this much. Look at classic cars. Some classic car owners will go and spend $5,000 on maintaining their car, or an MOT or a service, whatever it might be, updating it, and then still only put it on the market to sell for $7,000. And that $5,000 spend may only have increased the value of it by $2,000. It depends. It's down to the individual property every single time. Okay, so there is no rule that says if you spend X on renovating property, it has Y effect on the value. Does that make sense? Okay, ABC. Does it make sense to put forward an offer with a large discount, say 20%, if that's how much I'm willing to pay, or will it just enrage the agent? Provided it is a good faith offer and it is the best maximum comfortable price you're prepared to offer, and that is your best price, always put it forward. It doesn't matter about enraging the agent. Don't do what people call a cheeky offer, because a cheeky offer isn't a serious offer. It just isn't. Cheeky offers don't work. Serious offers, even if they're very low, will work sometimes. But the concept of a cheeky offer is just an annoying piss take where you're just basically chancing your luck. And what's going to happen is you're just not going to get taken seriously by the agent or the seller. But if your offer, it doesn't matter what the amount is, if it's 20% below asking price, because that's what it's worth to you, that's what you say. Because the asking price is irrelevant, right? You just say, I've seen the property, I like the property, I've done my sums, and based on my personal circumstances, the maximum I am comfortable offering on this property is X. I understand that's below the asking price of the client, and I understand they may not be interested and will reject the offer, but in the absence of any other offers, I thought it worthwhile putting my offer forward. If they don't want to accept it, I understand, and I'll move on. But just in case the seller is open to an offer like this. So there is never anything to be lost, provided you put the offer respectfully and just explain that that's the maximum you're prepared to pay. It's always worth making your offer if it is a serious offer. Okay. The mistake some people make is putting in let's say, a cheeky offer on a property that they don't really like that much, but they think, well, I don't really like it, but if I got it for this much, I'd buy it because it's a bargain. And then they get the offer accepted and go, oh, actually, I don't even like the property, so it's not even about the money. I don't want it. And it's a time waste. And you get the seller's hopes up, and then you don't want it anyway. So just, always make your offer if it's a serious offer. Always. Okay? Because you never know when they're going to say, yeah, if you're ready to go and you're ready to proceed right now, we're going to take your offer. Is that a helpful answer, ABC? I'm going to try to answer everybody's questions. I want to make sure that each person's asked a question has had at least one question answered. So, question: should we be seeing signs of price drops by now when out viewing, or is it normal for little stock and for it all to be selling quickly? So, Jimmy, tell me something, Jimmy. Did you watch my live stream before this, the public live stream? Can you just give me a yes or no to that? Because one of the things I explained in that answers this question, which is that is a very, very general question. It depends on the three things, like what is the area, the highly local area, what is the type of property you're looking at, is it a flat, a semi, or a detached house, and what in that property type are you at the lower end, the middle end, or the top end on price? Because all three of those things will affect the answer to that question. Hi, Jimmy, by the way. I think, generally speaking, because Jimmy, I can remember, I think I'm right, you're in Scotland, aren't you? I think you're in Glasgow, if I remember rightly. I don't know anything about the Scottish market. But if the cost of living crisis is affecting Scotland, and if real wage growth is falling in Scotland, and if tax is eating up more of people's income in Scotland, then eventually, yes, it will affect it. Now, one of the things that's going to change regionals is if there's a big regional migration. So if there are a lot of people moving from the south to the north, that's going to exacerbate price falls in the south, and it's going to soften price falls in the north. Okay, and if people who are moving now are relocating from the south, and I've got no insight to that, by the way, if that's happening, if there are a lot of people moving from the south to the north, that's going to slow down price falls. Okay, but I don't know if that's the case. Next question. Crypto Bizzle asks, my area for buying will be quite wide, spanning the southwest, the southeast, West Midlands, and Wales. Is it worth using a buying agent as to build relationships with many agents? Well, you don't tend to get buying agents that will go. The buying agents tend to cover a particular area. You won't find the buying agent that covers that whole area for you, because one of the things that buying agents do as part of their service is actually go out and view properties for you. So you'd need to find buying agents in all of those areas. Now, buying agents are expensive, and depending on your budget area, your budget range, they can be very useful and valuable for you. But I mean, I know, Bizzle, you are looking from abroad, aren't you? And so one of the things that you might do, if you find a property that you like, when you contact the agent to say, look, I'm currently abroad, but I am moving back, might you or the seller be able to do a video viewing with me? So it's like a FaceTime call or a WhatsApp video call. Would you be prepared to do that? They would probably want to qualify you and ask for proof of ID and that kind of stuff, which you should give them. I mean, no agent is going to do that with you if they haven't actually verified who you are and your sort of funding level, that kind of stuff. They'll ask for that. So if they think you're serious, that's one of the things that I'd be doing if that's helpful. Yeah, I don't know. Buyers agents tend to deal with higher value transactions because they're just too expensive for lower value. So it depends on your budget, right? I don't know. I've got no idea what you guys' budgets are as first-time buyers. Roughly speaking, below $500,000, I think buying agents may not be cost effective unless you're a long way away from the area you want to move to and you want to pay someone to go and view properties for you. But it's worth looking into and talking to a couple of them and seeing if they can help you. Nikhil, thanks for that second question. I'm going to come back to you when I've answered everyone else's first questions. Ian Berryman, hi there, Ian. Is it expected to go to best and final offers? Only if there's more than one buyer. So, Ian, you said we missed out on a house when the seller immediately went with another offer without asking us to increase ours. Should we have gone in higher? If you could have, okay, Ian, let me ask you a question, Ian. Ian, is there any chance you'd come and join in so we can have a conversation? If not, just answer the question below. The offer that you put in, was it your maximum comfortable offer first time? Can you give me a yes or a no to that? Because if you went in. You haven't stated that you put an offer in. I'm assuming that what you mean. Okay, right. So it wasn't your maximum. So this is why I always say, if it's a home that you're buying and a home that you want, always make your maximum comfortable offer first time. Now, for some reason, almost everyone chooses to ignore this advice. This is impartial, totally impartial, nothing in it for me advice. And it is a piece of advice that I repeat again and again and again and again. And yet I don't understand why buyers, almost all buyers, choose to ignore it and don't put their maximum offer in first time. That, what's on the screen right now, Ian's unfortunate missing out on the property, is exactly why it is a false economy not to make your maximum comfortable offer first time if it's a home you want to secure and live in. I will give you guys the backstory about this, right? My oldest best friend in the world, I've known since I was 8 years old, he was the best man at my wedding and has been an estate agent for decades and has been a very high-end estate agent because he's the most trusted, reliable guy. I remember him just complaining to me in the pub. He and I never used to talk about property, but he said, oh, yet again, another buyer today. Didn't listen to me when I said, look, if you're buying a home, you want to buy it, offer asking price. I'm not saying you should offer asking price now, but he's like, that's when it was a generally rising market. He said, I say it again and again and again, and no one ever listens to me. They lose out on the property, and then they go, oh, we're kicking ourselves. We wish we paid more. And it illustrates this bizarre mistake that so many of us make, which is we think that saving a bit of money is more important. The mistake is that thinking that saving money is more important than securing the home. And then you realize, fuck, securing the home was more important than saving that bit of money. And I don't know how much more emphatically I can state that if it's a home you're buying, and if you want to secure it, it is a mistake not to make your maximum offer first time for exactly the reason that you've just described. So you're saying you missed out on a house when the seller immediately went with another offer without asking you to increase yours. There may have been other reasons for that. Ian, I don't know, for example, whether or not you've got something you have to sell. I mean, you're in the first-time buyers group, so I'm assuming you're a first-time buyer. They may have had a cash buyer, and you may not have had your mortgage in principle or something, I don't know. But it's possible. Yeah, okay, Ian. So you're saying you don't want to overpay. I understand that. And this is where it's a very difficult personal decision. You didn't want to overpay. If you could have gone 10k higher comfortably, then that's not overpaying, if that makes sense. This is why, it's a very, very difficult thing to get right. But I do hope you guys I hope all of you watching this, if you find yourself in this situation, won't fall into the trap of not offering your maximum comfortable to be the one that goes, yay, we secured this property over the other buyers. Guff disregarder. There's no one else going to come and join me. Come on. Honestly, I wish someone would do this. Yeah, Ian, I just don't, lowballing, if you are buying a home because you really want to live in it, lowballing doesn't make sense. If you're buying as an investor, lowballing does make sense. But if you're buying as a home mover, lowballing doesn't make sense. It just never makes sense. Occasionally, people might get lucky. If you don't mind about missing out on a property, then yeah, you accept the risk of lowballing. I lowball, someone else pays more, they get it. It's a decision. But if you don't want to lose out, go with your maximum possible. Joe Brown. Okay, so Joe, did that happen to you? You did the same. You fell into that trap and you wouldn't again? Cool. Good to know. Where is the next? Where is the next question? Is there anyone? Yes, Guff disregarder. Is there any way to avoid overpaying on properties listed within the past day or so? Is it just a case of maximum comfortable offer, wait, except the seller may want to wait for other offers? Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I cannot help anybody with is if someone else offers more money than you. I simply can't help with that problem. There is no help with that problem. Okay. what you've got to do is condition yourself to accept that when you've decided your maximum comfortable price is X for a certain property, that if someone else offers more, you walk away. You just have to condition yourself on that, okay? Or if you ask yourself, am I prepared to walk away, that the answer is no, then are you in a position to make what I call the certainty premium, okay? The amount of money that it's worth to you to secure the property, provided you don't end up putting yourself at a too high a risk of negative equity. Personal choice every time, okay? Because there is a certainty premium value of knowing, right, this is the way. If we get this one, we haven't got to go out viewing anymore. We can move on with our lives and get into the house, okay? So again, all of you have got different levels of personal financial stability and security. And whether or not you do that is up to you. And in every different market, there is still competition for well-priced properties. And intelligent agents, and I advise agents as well as sellers to price below comparable properties so that you get competing buyers, because you sell quickly and you quickly find out what the best price is. So the other thing, actually, Guff disregarded, that I would say to this is to remember that if your offer, if you're the only person offering and you are quite a long way below asking price, remember you're going to need to give the seller time to process what it means for them if they accept this much lower offer than they are hoping for. So a minimum of 48 hours, up to 7 days before you chase up on your offer. But with every property, just accept that you're going to work out your maximum comfortable offer, submit it by email, and just walk away. If someone else pays more, that's fine. They get it. Just walk away and wait for them to come back to you. That's the thing to do. Arcturus, this is your first question, and then Nicola, if there aren't any others, I'll come back to your second question. So, did you see my question? You have covered buyer's agents, but surely there are other options than simply hiring someone to go around visiting houses, which I can do, like a consultant. Well, I mean, buying agents are consultants. That's exactly what they are. They're property consultants. I don't know what other options you're thinking of. What is it you want someone to do for you? Do you just want someone to find a property for you? Do you want someone to negotiate for you? There are people who can negotiate for you once you found property you want. They can negotiate on your behalf remotely. Other than that, I don't really know what else. So, I mean, tell me, Arcturus, is it because you're looking from a long way away? Is it a geography reason you want it? Or is it a time constraint? What's your reason for asking that question? Okay, guys, if you want to ask your questions about when do I think I'll see stuff happening, like properties coming on or prices dropping, give me your location. Let me know roughly where you are. Let me know what kind of thing you're looking to buy. Are you looking to buy a flat? Are you looking to buy a house? Just give me a bit more information. Rough location, property type, and low, middle, or high end, without putting a number on it, just low, middle, or high end of that particular property type. Joe, can you elaborate on your question, and then I can try and answer it? In the meantime, I'm going to go to Nicole's question. Okay, Nicole, come on back into the room. Hi there.
Hey.
So, just could you read your question out for everybody?
Sure. Let me just find it again. So, as someone who does not need to move right away, which is one of your tenets, given the upset situation with the banks, because I didn't want to use the word crisis,
Yes.
should I just wait it out?
Can I turn the question around and you go, what is it about the banking situation that makes you think that waiting might be advantageous or beneficial? Do you think it might lead to price drops?
No, I think it might lead to instability in the markets. I'm not sure. It just makes me really nervous.
Fair enough. Yeah. I get it. My question is, unless there's a specific reason, if it's just general nervousness, no, keep calm, carry on. If you find a home you like, it doesn't matter as long as your lender can lend. I'm assuming that you need a mortgage to buy. Sorry if that's too personal a question. Don't answer.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I do need a mortgage.
If your lender is a state, then you can ignore the chaos around you and proceed. And often if we're moving into a turbulent time, I think that actually securing a home, moving in and living in it, and watching the world go to hell in a handbasket is actually quite a rewarding thing to do. Because the thing about owning a home is that you remove that risk of a landlord saying that they need you to move out. You know, that's something you can't put a price on. That peace of mind, as long as you've paid your mortgage, no one is going to be getting you to move out of your house. It's a wonderful feeling. It really is. Does that answer the question?
It does. Yeah, it helps a lot actually, because I'd viewed something that on the same day where the SVB bank crisis was unfolding, and it just made me have cold feet instantly.
Right. Yeah, which I understand. But you know, if your reason for buying is a home to live in,
absolutely, yes,
then I can understand exactly why that would make you just very hesitant. But actually, no, just I put a video out the other day, I think, saying ignore the news and move. Just you know, provided you can afford it and it's a home you want to live in, keep moving.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Now I've got another question here. There's another question. So Asbestos Assessment says, I can't thank you enough for the information you've shared over the months. You're very, very welcome. Asbestos Assessment, do you have a question I can answer for you? I'm very, very keen to Arcturus, okay, thank you. You followed up. So it's inexperience the need to have someone hold your hand. I get that. Okay, cool. Thank you. I now understand the context of it. That is a problem that will be solved if you go out and view. Okay. There is nothing to be afraid of when viewing properties. You will not be asked for a commitment. Remember, when you're buying a house, you're not committing to anything other than the conveyancing costs until the day of exchange of contracts. Right up to the moment that your conveyancer asks you, are you happy for me to exchange contracts now? You can change your mind and walk away. And I've said this to someone else that was actually selling. And I said, look, you're selling. I think I want to sell, but I'm not sure. And it's difficult to understand. And I said, put your house on the market. See what offers you get. See if you want to accept an offer. And I held her hand at every step of the way. And I said, you can accept an offer. You can back out if you change your mind. And she said, just knowing that the option was actually, I've changed my mind, I want to back out, was what allowed her to proceed. And only when she got to the very end of it and said, now it's decision time, do I actually want to pull the trigger on the exchange? And she decided yes. And she said, had she not known that she could change her mind at any point up to exchange, she probably wouldn't have gone ahead with the sale at all. As it was, she sold at the very top of the market and got out. So Arcturus, be out viewing. You will learn so much, and some of the agents will be really kind and informative and reassuring, and you will learn about the process from them, and you will learn about properties. And what you'll find is that the intimidating nature of inexperience is just fear of the unknown. And actually, you'll find out that there's nothing to fear from viewing properties. You just remember, disregard the guff, okay? And that includes questions that our agents ask you that you don't want to answer. Just say, we don't know yet. Don't know. We'd like to view properties because we're first-time buyers. We're trying to familiarize ourselves with the market, and we're coming out to look at properties to do that. Okay, so honestly, that's all you need to do. And then you're going to find an agent that you prefer to other agents, and just say to them, look, I'd love to view anything that's in my price range that comes on. Will you please call me with anything or send anything to me, and I'll come and view it. You know, I have got the finances. I am ready to move, or you know, I'll be ready to move at this point in time. Always be honest with your true situation. And good agents will want to help you, you know, and you will learn from them, and it won't cost you anything other than time. Is that a helpful answer, Arcturus? I hope it is. Ian Berry, that's an interesting question. Never had that. Given the high cost of energy, how much trust should we put behind EPCs? Can we ask sellers for their heating bills? Good question. EPC, the trustworthiness of an EPC depends on the individual who carried out the EPC assessment. It's also worth considering how long ago the EPC assessment was made, because EPCs are valid for up to 10 years, I believe, unless that's changed. You know, and the energy performance of a property that had its EPC done 10 years ago may well have changed by now. You can ask sellers for their heating bills. They're not obliged to provide you with them. But if you ask the agent in a reasonable way to say, look, could be to see a copy of a gas bill or electricity bill. Maybe they'll say yes. I don't know why any seller would hide that from you. Yeah, that's what I'd say to that. Wow. Asbestos Assessment says, I was buying a 280k property for 301k. You helped me understand that the market was at its peak. I've now bought a 60k motorhome and I'll take 2 years off work and then enter the lower market. Wow. Wow. How's it going in the motorhome? Do you know what? Are you having fun? Are you enjoying that? It must be. Are you pleased that you didn't buy that 280k property 301k? Glenn, hi Glenn. Here's another question. Following Ian's question, do you foresee EPC government changes in banning affecting values in the coming 1 to 2 years? I think that, so there are 2 points to make on EPCs and property values. There is no doubt that very energy efficient homes are going to sell faster. Possibly not for a lot more money, but they will get slightly better prices than less efficient equivalent homes for obvious reasons, right? In the long run, that's a big, big difference to the actual running costs and therefore your income. So savvy buyers are going to be cost conscious and therefore very good performing energy homes are going to sell quicker for obvious reasons. The second point is to make that, I can't remember exactly what it is, but the law for rental properties on EPCs is changing. I think, don't quote me on this, don't hold me to it, but I think the law is that it won't affect existing tenancies, but when a landlord renews a tenancy or puts a new tenant into a property after the date of this new law coming in, which I'm not sure when it is, I think the property will have to have an EPC rating of C or B or A. So if it's D or below, they will not be allowed to rent that property out to tenants. I am less than 50% confident I've got that right, but there is something like that happening. And when that happens, it's going to be, a lot of landlords are going to sell those properties up. They're just going to sell them. And therefore that will add to the supply and add to the downward pressure of prices. Oh, I bet it is. Asbestos Assessment says, so your name is Glenn. Sorry, Glenn. So your home, you're being in a 60k motorhome is a fantastic experience. I bet it is. Are you just traveling around the UK in that, or have you gone further afield? Can you work remotely? How wonderful. What a lovely thing to do. Joe Brown says, at this point, I would live in a wheelbarrow, let alone a van. Quite fancy the van life. Yeah, I think van life is very appealing if it's an option to people. What else do we have here? So, is there anybody with a question that I haven't answered? And if you've already typed it out but haven't answered it, would you just copy and paste it and put it again at the bottom? I'm just scrolling through everyone's questions. Jane Lowe, do you have a question, Jane? Come on, ask questions. Ask questions for me if you haven't. I'd like to make sure I've asked everyone's questions. Okay. ABC asks, what is the best free or not very expensive source of data about latest transactions to get an idea of fair price in my area postcode? The best free source of latest transaction data is to be out viewing and getting that information directly from the mouth of estate agents. Now, let me back up. That is not a flippant, glib remark. That is what surveyors do. Surveyors who are required to put legally binding valuations on properties for their lenders ask estate agents for how much comparable properties have transacted at most recently. That is how serious I am when I say that there isn't a reliable source of data about latest transactions. There just isn't, other than the land registry when it comes out. Like, there are either estate agents telling you personally what's happened today in the last few weeks, or you've got land registry data which we know is months out of date. So I know it's frustrating, but being out viewing properties is what you should do if you want to be up to speed with the market for exactly the kind of property you're looking to buy in the exact area you want to buy. There is no shortcut to that yet. Best Agent, when it's fully up and running and fully thriving and operating, will become that thing that will provide real-time market insights to the public directly from the estate agents who are willing to provide them. All right, that's part of the Best Agent mission. Who else has got questions? Ian B. That's okay. I don't mind. Ian B asks, what do I think of buying at auctions? Not sure if you have the bottle for that. That's down to your personal risk appetite every time. The only reason put people property into auctions is because they don't sell quickly on the open market, right? You put a property in an auction because you need to sell it soon. Typically speaking, it is a bit riskier and therefore not something that attracts first-time buyers. It tends to be for cash buyers, people who know what they're doing, people who know what they're going to be doing with the property they buy it. So I'm not saying I'd never do it. And if you're a cash buyer, I would still consider it. The modern method of auction I don't like, because you're basically paying a lot of fees on top. Jane, actually, would it be possible to do a Q&A session with mortgage brokers, especially the first time buy mortgages? That is, you've prompted me. I do need to do another mortgage Q&A on the public live stream, and I will be doing that soon. Joe Brown, you've offered on a repossessed house and the bank selling it at brutal. What do you mean they're brutal? In what way are they being brutal? Be really interested to know what you think of that. Guys, okay, Ian, second question from Ian. I'm happy to keep going, guys. I've got a limit of an hour tonight, but I'm happy to keep going as long as you've got questions. Is it best to pay a larger deposit than usual? What are the benefits apart from cheaper mortgage payments? It's best to pay a small deposit and then pay mortgage when it can. The answer to that question depends on what else you'd be doing with the money. If you can afford to pay off more of your mortgage faster, because the money is otherwise just sitting in a bank, then yes. But if there's other stuff that you'd like to do or want to do with that money, either because you think it's a better return on investment, for example, if you can't guarantee more interest on that money elsewhere than your mortgage interest rate, it makes no sense keeping it elsewhere, pay off your mortgage. If you want to keep that cash on hand for a rainy day and for an emergency to back up, then yeah, don't pay off the mortgage. It's much more about a personal choice thing rather than an investment decision. For example, you might go, do you know what? I really would love a classic car as well. And that's more important to you than not paying interest on the mortgage. Buy the car, have the stuff. Have the stuff that makes you happy. Money sitting in the bank is the biggest waste of money I can imagine. Unspent money is a horrible waste. I talk about just cash in the bank, like invest it somewhere, wherever, anywhere, bonds, whatever suits you, whatever meets your personal risk appetite. But just money sitting in the bank, it's a waste of life, I think. Do something wonderful with it. Just, if it's sitting in the bank because you don't need it and you don't want to invest it anywhere else. I mean, this is just personal. This is not any form of investment. This is life advice. Like, no one went to their grave going, I'm so glad I didn't touch all that money in the bank. I mean, of course, keep stuff in there to make you feel comfortable, but I would just life is too short. Oh, Jimmy, that's a great question. In case any of you don't know, Russell Quirk is an acquaintance of mine, a friend of mine in the property sector. We have locked horns a number of times over a number of things. I know him, met him a bunch of times. He's an interesting, jovial, and entertaining guy. I disagree with him on most, but not all things. And what he's been saying ever since I've been saying house prices will fall, is he's been saying anyone who says house prices are going to fall is going to be an idiot. He thinks he's actually said that publicly. Russell owns a property PR company called Propaganda, spelt proper as in property gander, and his clients are, a lot of them are property clients, and therefore they are expecting him to talk the market up. I mean, they're expecting him to do that because they're paying him a retainer to do PR. So does he believe what he's saying? I honestly don't know. I'd probably have to get him quite drunk in private to get him to admit if he didn't believe what he was saying. But the way he doubles down on his views, I think he does believe it, because whenever I sort of challenge him with numbers and facts, he always dodges it. So I don't know. Good question though. Anybody else? Anyone? Okay. So Joe Brown, this is your answer to why the banks are being brutal. They are 100% business, no negations on price at all. It's a yes or no. Has made me a bit more business-minded myself. Wow. That's what the agent's saying, right? I mean, has the agent shown you documentation from the bank that proves that? Or is that just what the agent's told you, Joe? I'd be really curious to know that. Because a really aggressive and professional agent would say that. The bank won't budge on price, it's that price or nothing. I know agents that say that when it's not true. You know, they call it negotiation. So yeah, Joe, if you know the answer to that question, I'd be fascinated to know. Can I ask you all a question? The agent says they just say, please reject the offer, no feedback. I would ask the agent to show you the email that says that. Just say, would you actually be able to show me so that I can just so that I can check you're not just negotiating me? Like, do it with some humor. So I know you're working for them. I know you've got to get the best offer from them. But if it really is the case, could you just show me the email so I know? Because if it's 100% true and you prove to me that's true, then I understand. But if it's just negotiating, I want to know. Ian Berryman says, any advice on offering a property that needs renovations? We are seeing only ex-rentals in poor condition coming into the market in our area. My only two answers to that question would be, number one, every property renovation in the history of the world ever took longer and cost more than anyone expected. That's point number one. And number two, the property that needs renovations, it doesn't affect your offer. You still have to work out your maximum comfortable offer for the property, given the fact that it needs renovations. But whatever you think it's going to cost to renovate it, double it. I'm not exaggerating. Double it. And if you're wrong and it costs less, brilliant. But it won't. I promise you. I've done them myself. And I have been really, really hard and brutal with myself about the budget and everything else. I've budgeted it, costed it, been really, really thorough. And it's still double every time. It's just double. Optimism bias, you know. Joe, well, if they haven't rejected your final offer yet, though, it's probably there to the agent. I mean, is the agent a sort of, do they feel like a very salesy, they've been on sales training courses, very sort of corporate-y type agent? Or are they a really friendly family type agent? I'd be curious to know. My question for you guys, as paying subscribers of this group, do you have any requests or feedback so far? I've got to make a decision about whether to continue this group when that first sort of month is up. And in order for the concept of this group to work, I would need it to be a little bit bigger, a few more people, not too many, not too many. You know, like maximum 100. So we're 50 at the moment. We've only got 15 of you here on this live stream. I know some of you missed the last live stream, but so one of my questions is, for those of you who are here now live, but who missed the first live stream, but got to watch it afterwards, does that affect your feelings about having paid? or did you still feel that that private live stream was valuable to you? And secondly, if I was to double the group size from 50 to 100 and put the price from 10 quid to 15 quid, because that's what I think I need to do to make it viable for me. In return for that, I would be aiming to do something once a week. It might not be a private live stream once a week, but it might be a blog post or some insight onto some market insights early. I'd be creative about it and work it out. I want to make sure everyone was happy with the value they were getting. I like the communities, the feel of this. I really like this much more intimate feel. I think we could double it to 100 people and still only probably get 30 or so in the live stream, and I would still look to answer everybody's questions. The next question I've got for you is, Nikhil, thanks. You said you paid £15 a month. Thank you. I appreciate that. Is there anyone who says no? Anyone who thinks himself 10 quid yes, 15 quid no? I'd like to know that. No offense taken. I promise you, no offense taken. I would love to know. I just be blunt and direct with me. It's fine. And what was the other question I had? Do you think I should keep it? Do you think I should keep the group as a first-time buyer only group, or as an any buyer group? Does it need to be first-time buyer specific, or could it be anyone buying? This is the buying group where we just talk to anyone about buying. So there might be the second one or wherever else. What do you think about that? Because I think that would probably make the group functional and valuable. Oh, good, lots more questions. I'll answer all your questions. That's cool. Any buyers? Okay, cool. So 15 quid any buyer. I think that'd be really, really cool. That would definitely make it more viable for me. Let me see if it's a couple more questions. Joe Brown, I love that. The agent is like a limp lettuce, no one for bit rude. I'm killing them with kindness. Good for you, well done. Jimmy, question. What unobvious mistakes do new home buyers often make in terms of checking out the actual property? That's a very good question, and Jimmy, that's not really, that is a property specific question, and properties themselves are not really my area of speciality. But the answer I would give you is this. Imagine it's tricky. Neighbours, problematic neighbours. I think having nightmare neighbours is a life-alteringly bad, horrible nightmare. And it's not talked about enough. And it's not an easy thing to verify. But there are certain online things you can look up about local crime rates, antisocial behaviour stuff, that kind of stuff. But you want to understand exactly what the immediate neighbours are like. I mean, if it was me, I would knock on the door of a couple of neighbours. I would just knock on the door and go, hi, thinking of buying this house, just wondering what the neighbourhood's like, and see how friendly a reception you get. And if you knock on 2 or 3 doors, I mean, this is if you're I'm imagining a sort of suburban housing estate where it's sort of semi-detached or stuff with a garden, where there is interaction with neighbours. In a big purpose-built block of flats, you can live in one of those and never meet any of your neighbours. It doesn't really matter that much. But where you are going to have unavoidable interactions with your neighbours, that is something that I would want to check out what the neighbours were like. Other things, I think the other answer I give to this is that I would always, as a buyer, always invest in the peace of mind of a proper structural survey. Just rule out any nasty shocks that happen after you bought it. You cannot rely on your mortgage lender survey for this. And the mortgage lender survey will not show up some of the problems that could be big problems. And so you have to go to the RICS, the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, and go to their website, rics.org.uk, I think it is. And they've got 3 levels of home reports that they do. And pick which one you think is appropriate for you. And it's never money down the drain, because only 1 or 2 things will happen. Either they will find a problem and you will be so happy that you got the home report done. And by the way, you can ask this to be done before exchange, right? And when you make your offer, you can say, my offer, actually, I wouldn't say this at the point. I would say this, I'd say this after you've had the offer accepted, that you want to have a full home survey done, okay? Because 1 or 2 things happen. Either they find nothing wrong and go, all clear. Well, how good is it to know that? How good is it to know that? That's just going to boost your confidence about buying the property. Or they're going to find a problem. And if they find a problem, well, the list of reasons that's a good thing is amazing. Number 1, it might be a problem makes you go, do not want to buy that property. Number 2, it might be like, okay, that problem is fixing. That's got to be reflected in the newly renegotiated price. Or number 3, you're just aware of it, but you're happy to take it on the chin. You know what you're going into, and it might affect your plans for the property. So that's my advice, Jimmy. Always, 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 especially if you're a cash buyer, get a full home report survey done by the RICS. Does that make sense? Ian, you took my advice to heart and you've already doubled your budget. Okay, cool. Thank you. I see. I think you're having a joke about my subscription levels, aren't you? Joe, thank you. 15 quid's very fair. Cool. Guffred Disregarder says, you think a lot of the non-first-time buyers who are buyers would also be sellers and may have a perspective. Yeah, I agree with that. Any buyer, yeah, amazing what you can all learn from each other. Thank you. So all of you think any buyer would be cool. Excellent. Darren says, if only 15 out of 50 should be okay, the question will be answered, rather no more than 100. Yeah, I agree, no more than 100. I think I told you my line of work, so be interested in the other topics, bar first-time buyer. Darren, you did, and I can't remember. I'm sorry. So if you want to tell me privately what your what your line of work is, that would help. But yeah, okay, understood. Forgive me, I can't remember. What stage to approach the neighbours? When you go to view it, after the viewing, say goodbye to the agent, go and knock on a few doors. You're there anyway. Jane Lowe, guest speakers such as estate agents, brokers, surveyors covering those steps in your first video. Cool. That's a great suggestion, and I would definitely love to do that. And also, Housing Stig would be fun to have in these, wouldn't he? He probably wants some money, but I don't know. Bizzle, yeah, no. Email them again. Sorry, I'll come back to you on that privately, Bizzle. Byron, thank you. So watching later was not a problem. Real value for you is being able to ask questions. £15 any buyer, finding your opinion. Thank you. Cool. So am I correct that there's nobody there who's saying no to 15 quid or no to any buyer? Because if not, that's great, and that's what I'll go ahead and do. No, Bizzle, he says, I assumed a structural survey would be a basic check that would be done anyway when valuing property. Nope, not the case. Jimmy, in Scotland, the seller has the home report. I don't know. If the home report in Scotland is a full structural report, then yeah, cool, you've already got it. I don't know what level that is, so I can't answer that question. So Byron asks, when putting in an offer, should it be subject to anything? I'm sure to a survey. So yeah, it's all offers are always subject to contract, right? It's subject to contract. So it's subject to all the kind of stuff. You know, they say that putting an offer in is not binding. Okay, you are not bound to buy that property for any price until exchange of contracts happens. So don't worry about it. Right, guys, that's an hour. I've got to call it. It's been great, but I've been sitting here now live streaming for 2 hours without a break, so you're going to have to forgive me. I'm really, really grateful to you all for your support, and I am going to go about in due course opening up the group a bit more to some more people, putting it to 15 quid, and then setting up a couple more exciting stuff to happen, a few more things to happen in these live streams. You're all awesome. I love you lots. I really appreciate your support. Thank you for your feedback. By all means, feel free to message me privately on buymeacoffee.com. If you've got private messages for me, Bizzle, it'd be cool if you could do that there for me to remind me to come back to you on that. Oh, I missed a question. Do I mean for soundproofing point of view, more disputes about fences? No, disputes about fences and also parking is another big thing that neighbours fall out about, and boundary disputes are absolutely rife. So you really want, if it's a house with boundaries with other houses, you always want to meet your neighbours. I think you just don't want that nightmare. You don't want that. No matter how much on the property, you don't want that nightmare. Good night, guys. Good night, Jane, Bizzle, Ian, all of you, Joe. Thanks a lot. Love you lots. And again, what I'm doing with these is that I'm going to publish these to the public channel a month after they're done. All right. Thank you very much, guys. Bye.